Here's a look at the newest presidential view from an expanding Myrtle Beach skyline. Stay tuned. Carolina People's coming up next. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're in the presidential suite at the new Radisson Plaza Hotel, Myrtle Beach Convention Center. We're focused on the opening of the hotel, which is scheduled to occur this Thursday, and we're visiting with Tom Woods, the Vice President of Wellbro Constructors, South Carolina. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you for inviting me.
Incredible opportunity to highlight what's about to occur in a couple days and what has occurred over the last year and a half and many years that the planning of this incredible facility came into play.
It's taken a lot of time with a lot of folks and a lot of time and effort, has truly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Real quick about yourself, Tom, before we begin talking about the construction of the facility here, can we talk real quick about yourself?
Sure.
Are you originally from the area?
No, I'm not. I was raised in a little town in West Tennessee of about 5,000 people on a Saturday night.
I understand that, and I know we haven't yet said the name of that town, but that town has the distinction for being a place that I believe the king, Elvis Presley, would frequent at some level.
He did. This was back in the mid-'50s, late 50s. I guess this is pre-Ed Sullivan. Elvis would just want to get out of Memphis, get out of town, and he and his cousin would drive up, and they had this big, I remember a big black Cadillac that they drove up in. And there was a Dairy Queen in town, and that was where all the young people congregated. And I can remember being there with my brother at times, and Elvis would pull up, and they'd stay there about 2 hours, and then they'd move on to someplace else. When he became famous, that was exciting.
I bet. Just knowing that, and the name of this town was
Milan.
Or is, yes.
Milan, Tennessee.
Great. And do you still have family in Milan?
No, I don't. My wife does. My wife still has family there, and we go back there periodically.
Well, that's wonderful. When did you first begin working in the construction industry, Tom?
I started in the construction industry about 1970. I had a friend who gave me the opportunity to be a assistant superintendent on a multifamily project, and then in 1974, I had another friend who believed in me and gave me the opportunity to start in commercial construction. Was in it a very short period of time when I learned that I love it, and I love it as much today as I did in 1974. So.
When you think about friends like that in 1974 who first gave you that opportunity, I'm sure you've come across friends like that over the years that have helped open some doors, but there's probably not many that bring back as many feelings as a friend like that, I'm sure.
There's not, but in this, it's a small industry really when you get to looking at it, and you build relationships in it, and that's where I've gotten a lot of good opportunities with those relationships.
How did you come to your position with Wellbro, Tom?
Well, in 1989, I joined Wellbro. They were a very growing company at that time, and I was brought on to be a manager of the largest hotel that they had ever built. And then about 10 years ago, I was made vice president for the company and was officer in charge of some very unique projects in the Orlando area, and was also in charge of their medical division in Orlando. And then about 7.5 years ago, we decided to open up an office in Myrtle Beach, and they asked me to be their division manager up here for them.
Why do you think they selected you to open this new office?
Well, I would hope it was because of my abilities and charm.
And Wellbro, the company's been around for many years, or is it?
The company's been around 26 years.
It's a Florida-based company.
It is a Florida-based company. That's correct.
How did the Myrtle Beach market differ from, for instance, your involvement in Orlando or other markets you've been involved in?
Well, I've built all over the United States for different companies, and the Myrtle Beach area is unique. When I came here, there were probably 2 concrete companies that could service a large construction project. In Orlando, there were probably 10. So, you're in a small base here, and that's the big difference. In other large cities, you do business with other companies. Here, you build relationships.
Very definitely.
Yes.
And speaking of those relationships, you could probably gauge how those relationships have changed over the last, you said you opened this office in 95?
Correct.
Over the last 7.5, 8 years almost. Can you talk about some of those changes, how the office and even Wellbro as a company has changed over the last 8 years?
Well, we opened up, when we came here and opened up, our first company Christmas party, we sent out 4 invitations. Last year we sent out 58 invitations.
Wow.
So that's the big difference. I mean, we've had great growth. We have been well accepted in the community, which we're very thankful for. And the growth is what's really changed. We haven't changed the culture, the value of the company at all. It's still the same as it was when we came here. So.
Mm-hmm. I think I read where 90% of the subcontractors on the Radisson Plaza Hotel were local or from the PD or from this region. How has your Wellbro's relationship been with local subcontractors?
We've had a great relationship with local subcontractors. We're a firm believer that to use as many local subcontractors and vendors as possible. I mean, let's try and keep the money in the community and give it back to the community. But the employees of Wellbro is who builds those relationships with subcontractors and vendors, and they've done a fantastic job of it.
Mm. Let's go ahead now, please, and talk about your most recent development. I'm sure you're in the midst of multiple other projects on the Strand and throughout the Southeast and around the country. But we're sitting in a pretty amazing facility scheduled to open in a couple days for business. Can we talk about what you feel is the significance of the Radisson Plaza Hotel, Myrtle Beach Convention Center, and what you think it's going to do for the area, Tom?
I think it is a significant project. I know it's been significant for us. I mean, you couldn't ask for a more high-profile job. You go up and down this beach for a long ways, and you can see this building.
Yeah.
And we're very proud of that. But for the Grand Strand area, I think it was necessary, and to me, it's something that's going to help change the tourist demographics of what's coming here. Because if you can sell larger conventions, then people are going to start coming from Arkansas and Louisiana and Missouri and Michigan, and they're going to be coming to a convention at the beach, so they're going to bring their family for a little mini vacation. Or the people are going to be coming here that's never been here before, and when they see what we've got to offer, they'll come back for a convention. They'll come back for a vacation. So I think it's going to be very, very good for the community.
No doubt. No doubt. How long have you all been working on the project, Tom?
Well, we were, from the time that we started working on the bidding process was September of 2000. And we were awarded the project, I think, in November 2000. We worked in-house on it, doing some planning and working with subcontractors. And then we started, I believe we had groundbreaking in June of 2001.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When you think about, it's so difficult to gauge the importance of partners you've had during the build-out, but when you think, are there some names that come straight to the top of your head when you think about some of those important partners that have helped take this from concept to completion?
I think the city has been a great partner in this. We've gotten great support from the city council. Tom Leith has been great to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Ushery, who represents the city on this project, has been fantastic. Jim Hubbard, who is with Pegram & Associates, the architects, has been great in helping us throughout the entire project. And then all the subcontractors. I mean, we've had such a great partnering with so many of the subcontractors in building this facility. I think they're all real important to us.
Very definitely. Can you share with the viewers some of the highlights from some of the major experiences working on the project?
Well, I think the one that comes to mind quickly is groundbreaking ceremony. We were so excited about this project that we had all of our equipment sitting here ready, and we had chairs spread out for the groundbreaking ceremony. We had tables with food on it, and we had podiums, and we went through the groundbreaking ceremony, and when the groundbreaking ceremony was through, the guys on the bulldozers actually got off and helped the city move the chairs so they could get started. That's how excited we were.
No.
And that excitement has been throughout this entire project.
That's amazing.
It is.
And that kind of sums up, I was going to ask you, summing up, sitting here today, again, less than 48 hours from the official opening, governor, and with the governor, I mean, so many folks will be here to celebrate the recognition of what this will do, not only for the Strand, but for the state of South Carolina. If you could try to sum up your feelings in helping to create this beautiful new landmark.
Gosh, there are so many emotions, Greg, that runs through your mind. You got the emotion of being selected. You've got the emotion of going through the project. You've got the emotion of being a private citizen and knowing what this means to the community. And then you've got the emotion of knowing the people that worked on this project with their tools and how hard they worked. So there's a tremendous amount of mixed emotions that are going on all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But we are very proud to be part of this.
I'm sure. And your pride of not only being a part of this, but being a part of a lot of other area activities and charities is something that shows from the top down. Tom Wellbro has been active in a number of charitable events locally. Community partnerships have stretched out not only throughout the Grand Strand, but all over them. When we think about, I think recently, Wellbro, not only Wellbro was recognized, but you personally through the March of Dimes and an Industry Appreciation Award for much of your activities here in the community. Can you tell the viewers real quick about what that meant to you, Tom Woods, and receiving that Industry Appreciation Award from the March of Dimes?
I was very humbled. I really was. I was very appreciative of the March of Dimes choosing me as the recipient for their award this year. I had never been put in a position to where I had a standing ovation given to me, and it was a very humbling experience. There are things that were outstanding to me about the March of Dimes, too. I mean, finding out that we were 49th in the nation on preborn fatalities. And I think I even said that we certainly appreciate Mississippi because without them we would be on the bottom of the list. But knowing that there are children that are born that are no larger than a business card, I mean, that really tears at your heart. And you want to do anything you can to help change that. So I was very appreciative, and getting an award like that, too, really revs up your juices. I mean, you want to get out and do more. You know, you don't go out and serve the community for recognition. You go out and serve it to give something back for what the community gives you every day. But when you do get recognized for it, it just energizes you.
Mm-hmm. Golly, Tom, no doubt it does. And the opportunity to experience whether the charity of choice is the American Heart Association or the March of Dimes, and I know Wellbro is incredibly active with so many local charities.
Yes, we are.
Do you think that has contributed to y'all's success here locally?
Well, I don't think we do any of those to gain success.
Right.
I think what we do is we try and give back some of the success that the community's given us. But we enjoy being a part of the community and being a part of all those great charities here.
Very definitely. When we think about, if you can conjure or think through any accomplishment over the past year of which you're most proud, would it be the eventual completion and turning over the keys back to the city before they turn over the Radisson of the hotel? Would that be the accomplishment?
I think that would be the chief accomplishment. There's no doubt. I mean, I love every building we're involved in. I mean, there's nothing any more spectacular to me than starting out with a flat piece of ground and working real hard and coming up with a building that's three-dimensional and people are using it for what it's designed for. That's a great sense of accomplishment. But the Radisson is really special.
I'm sure. Lastly, Tom, I sit here and thinking about all you talked about the last 12, 13 minutes, and particularly as you talked about some of the fight that the March of Dimes is constantly going through. And we talked about that the person in 1974 had helped give you a leap out into the industry. Can you think of anyone in particular or any groups of folks in particular that have inspired you?
Yes. I mean, I have to add or give my dad an awful lot. I mean, how you're raised does a lot with how you function in life later on. So my dad has been a real inspiration to me. The people I work with are inspiration to me. I mean, they keep my juices flowing and keep me going, and they're all strong people, which means I have to work harder to stay ahead of them. And then there are people like Lynn Orr, who gave me that opportunity back in 1974 that inspired me.
That's wonderful. We're visiting with Tom Woods, Vice President of Wellbro Constructors of South Carolina. Takes much of the recognition of why we're sitting here today in the Radisson Plaza Hotel, Myrtle Beach Convention Center, working with the city and so many folks throughout Wellbro and throughout the community that have made this happen. Tom, thanks so much for being with us
Thank
this
you
morning.
very much. Appreciate it.
Stay tuned to more Carolina People coming up next. Good morning. Welcome back to Carolina People. This morning we're in the presidential suite of the soon-to-open Radisson Plaza Hotel, Myrtle Beach Convention Center. We're focused on the construction and wrap-up of the hotel, and we're visiting with Janet Halasinski, the project manager for Wellbro Constructors, South Carolina. Good morning, Janet. Thanks so much for being with us this morning. Incredible opportunity to highlight so much of what happened over the last couple of years preparing for the eventual opening day after tomorrow of the Radisson Plaza Hotel.
Yes.
And we wanted to have an opportunity to talk to the project manager and the person who was so instrumental in making this happen. Real quick about yourself, are you originally from the area?
No, I'm not. I'm a transplant from Ohio. I actually grew up in Ohio and went to school there. I have a degree in construction management from Bowling Green State University. And once I graduated from there, I've been traveling all over. I moved here from New Hampshire. And it was very cold there. And after about 10 years, I had enough and decided to move down to the Carolinas. I have a sister here. And that's actually what brought me down here.
A sister in the Carolinas?
Yes,
or a sister in
Myrtle Beach?
Oh, great. Wow. What originally, you said your degree was in construction management.
Yes.
So you must have decided at a pretty early age that you were going to get into the construction industry.
I didn't decide. I was in a 5-year program in college,
Yeah.
and it wasn't until my junior year that I decided to actually look into it. I was in the business management program there, and a friend of mine was in the program, and I took a few classes, and I said, boy, this is right up my alley. I loved it, and it's been history ever since. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I wouldn't be doing anything else.
That's fantastic. Can you tell the viewers real quick about your first construction experience or your first on-the-job, on-site experience and how you were received and how that went along? And I say that only in that it's spectacular. The producer of the show, Loretta, was helping me go through some of the reviewing some of the guests this week, and we were talking about her experience, I guess, in talking to you beforehand and how exciting that pre-interview was. But she wanted me to get into what it was like, that first experience on site.
I think, well, the story that I told Loretta, she asked me about the gender differences and if I've had any problems being a woman in construction. And personally, I have not. I can probably count the encounters that I've had on one hand, and the problems that I've had with people in me being a woman. I think the funniest story that I had a subcontractor call me on the phone, and we were bidding a job. And he said, I hate to ask you this, he said, but are you big and burly? And I started laughing, and I said, well, I can be. I said, it depends. I said, why do you ask? He goes, well, I just have this image of women in construction as being big and burly. And I said, no, I'm not.
No.
And so he was quite surprised when he met me. And I think a lot of people in this industry, a lot of your tradesmen and stuff, if they don't get to meet someone, they have this image, and it's just not true. Women, there are quite a few women, especially in Myrtle Beach, that have a project management position like mine.
Great. I wasn't aware of that. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And, of course, Loretta had positioned a question of, do you still see surprised faces on the jobs? I guess not.
Sometimes. Sometimes it depends. You know, I think on a project of this magnitude, you do see it. People say, oh, you must build houses. No, I don't build houses. I do commercial construction. So.
That's amazing. Can you tell us about some of the projects you were doing prior to coming to Myrtle Beach?
I worked on several different projects. I had the great opportunity to work on a Coca-Cola bottling facility in New Hampshire, and took it from design to completion. And I was able to get into the owner's works. That's one of the nice things about working in construction is you get to actually understand how the owners operate and their functions and everything else. It's just like the hotel. I've done quite a few schools. I've done some office buildings, and one of the projects that I've done down here, one of my first projects, was the Isle of America theme park.
Oh, really?
That I worked on it for 3 years in the development phase. It never came to fruition. Obviously, the developer couldn't get the funds up, but 3 years we did development and estimates on the project, which was pretty exciting for me.
I remember that. That would have been out on the former Air Force Base.
Correct.
Which is wonderful. We've got in the next couple of months, a Myrtle Beach contractor, Charles Dargan, is going to be helping to put together a week focused on much of the development, not only on the Strand, but throughout South Carolina, throughout the Carolinas. Development, and when you talk about the experience of working with that Coca-Cola owner, the opportunity to see what's inside their head.
Right.
Tom, who was just on moments ago, talking about one of the greatest thrills is seeing a blank piece of land and taking an owner's dream to fruition. So that must be exciting.
It is. It's very exciting.
That must be. You said you have a sister here in Myrtle. Was she much of what prompted you to leave New Hampshire? Was it the cold weather?
It was the cold weather, I think. It was a combination of the weather. There was 142 inches of snow on the ground when I left New Hampshire. So I was ready to leave.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
That is
crazy.
Nuts. When you talked about the was it the
Isle of America.
Okay. And was that the only other primary project you worked on prior to joining Wellbro?
No, I worked on that project for 3 years, and then I worked for Crown Reef Resorts. I did the third tower down at the South Beach, and I also did their conference center.
Great.
Down there.
Yeah, I know it well.
Those are very nice projects.
They are. And then how did you come to your position with Wellbro?
After I finished the third tower, one of the subcontractors on that job mentioned to Tom that I really didn't have anything with that development company, and Tom approached me and asked me if I wanted to come to work for them since I did want to stay in the area.
That's great. And the opening of the Radisson Plaza Hotel is the only project you've worked on for them, or have you done some other projects?
I've done a couple other projects in the 3 years that I worked for them. I did a 13-story high-rise and the radiation therapy center for Dr. Bass off of Oleander.
Great. How does the Radisson Plaza Hotel project compare with other projects you've been involved in?
This project has been awesome. The higher-end finishes that are required on this project, the planning that took place, the cooperation from the subcontractors. It was a very cooperative effort from everyone. And I think the time frame that it's taken to build it has been very long, very laborious, and those aspects have been different for me.
Can you walk the viewers through the process of managing a project of this magnitude?
I can probably wrap it up in a nutshell. Once we get the drawings from the architect, we go through and develop an estimate. From that estimate, that becomes the basis of our budget. And from that budget, we take the plans and put it out to the subcontractors for bid. We award those bids to the subcontractors. Then we do contract negotiations, make out the contracts, the purchase orders, and whatever to buy the services for the work, put together a schedule, and then we start the shop drawing process, which is all the parts and pieces that it takes to put the job together. That comes in from the vendors and the subs, and that has to be approved by the architect. So we do review, they do review, and then we get it back to the subs and they order material. Once that happens, we start the construction process, and then we have weekly meetings during construction. We go over where we're at with design, where we're at with issues, what problems are people having, and then it's just a continual process until the end of the job, and then we do punch out and close out.
What's just for viewers who may not know what a punch out is, what is that exactly?
Well, we're at that stage right now in the project. We're doing all the punch lists from the architect, and the punch list are items after we tell the architect that we're done. He comes in and looks at a room, and he notes items that may be incomplete, may need to be changed. There might be a tear in the wall covering, paint on the walls, something that just needs to be taken care of. at the end of the project.
We've got about a minute. I wanted to ask if you could, as you walk through the hotel and get a feel of knowing that you were the project manager for this entire build-out, and this can have such a dramatic impact not only on the Strand but on South Carolina, how does that make you feel?
I am very pleased to be part of this. I'm very proud to be a part of this project. I invite everybody to come down and take a look at this because it's unlike anything in Myrtle Beach, and I'm very proud of the workmanship and the quality of the subcontractors and what they've done here. And I think as the people come in, they'll see that, and I am very proud of that fact.
Is that what you like best about your job, Janet?
Yeah, to be able to create something that people can use, and I can come back and look at the skills that are required in the planning and so forth are really incredible.
That's wonderful. Janet Halasinski, Project Manager, Radisson Plaza Hotel, Myrtle Beach Convention Center. Janet, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
Stay tuned to more Carolina People coming up next. We want to thank Tom Woods, Janet Halasinski, and Wellbro Constructors for making today's Carolina People such a great success.